Tony D and Little Jones asleep in the sunbeam, and this is a screenwriter's rant on Destroy All Neighbors from Shudder. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 13. Available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. Thomas Lennon is in this. John Daly is in it. And Alex Winter. So you got some comedy pedigree. Definitely. The basic premise is the guy with the glasses here has been trying to finish a rock album for ages. And he's, a lot of times musicians, they're bands of one, really. And they get other people to play in. He gets a new neighbor who's some sort of crazy maniac who's even more obnoxious than him in his horrible rock and roll. And they do something very smart. They put the makeup on the actor while he's alive, because then later in the movie they get into a fight and he is that the same guy? I don't think so. Later in the movie he accidentally kills his neighbor, and there's a scene where he's talking to I don't know who this is, but he's talking to a dead person. But he accidentally kills his neighbor, and then somehow he tries to cut him up, but he just kind of won't die. And then he ends up using the neighbor's body parts as part of his band. Like, they move around on their own. So, yeah. Oh, and what's the name? I can never remember his name. The guy from the Eternals makes some sort of cameo. So yeah, a lot of interesting people in it, but mostly I think it's about this crazy dude and a dead dude making a rock album, and it's called Destroy All Neighbors. I don't quite get it, but I like the overtop nature of it. So it's billed as a horror comedy. Yeah, it's definitely a comedy. Absolutely. This is what I mean about going over the top. I mean, you got the guy's head and hands here moving on their own. And there's murder and there's horror and, you got this. God, the dog's driving me nuts. Joan, shut up! Thank you. So I kind of like the look of it. It's definitely a comedy. I would definitely check it out, because this is in my wheelhouse, obviously. It does look a little low budget, so I wouldn't keep my expectations too high. I'd keep my expectations reasonable, that it would be mostly funny and mostly coherent. Sometimes you get a low budget picture like this and it barely makes sense. But if Thomas Lennon is in it, I gotta think the script is halfway decent, because he's a writer too, and he's been doing this a long time. I don't think he'd jump on board with a project that was, he doesn't strike me as a guy who picks projects solely for the money. Even the projects he's been in that I don't particularly like, he's good in them. He's always playing the effeminate guy. I think he's playing a gay guy in this one. I'm not sure. It's become like the running gag with him ever since Reno 9/11. So, yeah, I think it'll be pretty watchable if you like horror comedies. I mean, obviously, if you don't like comedy or horror, I mean. But breaking it down is a little tougher. So, first act, it sets up the character. He desperately wants to be a rock god. He's been trying to pull together his album. Nobody really does albums anymore, but you know what he's saying. But he's just a one-man band essentially, and it's been tough. He has to do all the components, on computer or whatnot. his girlfriend is on his case, and I guess he works here because Tom Lennon threatens to fire him if he ever plays his music there again. So I guess his music's kind of terrible. He calls it prog rock, or prog squared. And so maybe his music is terrible because it's missing something. But then his crazy neighbor moves in, and it gives him the inspiration to do more. And I guess by killing his neighbor, it kind of puts him there. Oh, I guess he kills this guy too. I guess he ends up killing a lot of people. So, and then his music gets better, but obviously he's killing people, and that's not good. So maybe it has something to do with Satan, or maybe it's like he's crazy. See, in a comedy, you can kind of go pretty much in any direction. You know, it might, I'm going to leave it there. It might be that he's actually talking to Satan, or it might be funnier that, no, it was all in his head. And that he's just a crazy murderer and then realizes at the end. I think the latter, the former is probably funnier. He is working for Satan in some way. Satan's kind of messing with him. So yeah, first act, he's struggling musician. Second act, the beginning of the second act, his neighbor moves in and drives him crazy, and he eventually kills him in an argument. He doesn't mean to, but he kills him. And that kind of spurns his creativity along, I guess. And he's trying to get rid of the body, but he can't. He keeps talking to him. I'm not sure why. I'm going to assume there's some supernatural forces involved. Or maybe he's just seeing things, but his rock is getting better. And so during the course of the movie, he's trying to get rid of the body. The rock is getting better. He ends up killing more people. The album's getting closer to completion, but it's also his world is coming apart because more people are... I assume his girlfriend must leave him at some point, but more people are finding out or suspecting he's a murderer, and he has to finish the album before they catch him, I'm going to guess. And then at the end, it's a great album, but he goes to prison. Something like that. So let's see what it says in the write-up. When a prog rock musician, William Brown's worst mistake meets his worst neighbor, Vlad, it's a killer nightmare come to life. Okay, so Vlad is Alex Winter. So that's Alex Winter wearing a ton of makeup. Interesting. So, yeah, it looks nothing like Alex Winter. Even an older version of Alex Winter, I don't think looks like that. Interesting look, though. Interesting look for him. And this seems very consistent with the kind of movie Alex Winter likes to make. Kind of gory, crazy movies. So, yeah, I would totally check this out. It's on Shudder, which I think means you can see it for free. Not sure. I'm not sure what the deal is on Shudder. I don't think they actually release movies. I think they just stream them on Shudder, right? Is that how it works? I don't know. Somebody in the comments explain it to me. Never quite understood it. I did see one Shudder movie on YouTube, I think it was. Or is that the Kings of Horror? I don't know. I get them confused. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan. Won't shut up. It's completely derailed my thought processes. But that's okay. I'm going to the 13th Child Brewery in a few hours. I'll be there from 12 to 3 today for their holiday market. So come on down to Williamstown if you'd like to get a beer and a copy of the Pineys. Then tomorrow, assuming the rain holds off again, I don't know. I got to be honest, it's not looking great. But Absecon for the Oddball Vintage show might get delayed another week. In which case, that puts us on Christmas Eve. Yeah, it ain't happening then. So maybe December 31st if it gets delayed again. Or he might just put it off until next year. I don't know. But stay tuned. If I don't go on Sunday, I'll announce it in a video, like my first video, I'll announce it. I'll try to get that up in time for you to know, but call ahead of time would be my advice. If the unless you check the weather and it's going to be sunny, but it's not looking great. Anyhow, hope to see you in Williamstown. So Williamstown definitely happening. No rain today. So come on out to the 13th Child Brewery. We'll see you in the next one.